Hi, my name is Casey. I play a warrior on the Star Wars Furnace server, and I'm here today to offer you two pills. One pill will instill the high-octane power of the Berserker in you. The other, slightly less octane, but still kinda berserker existence. This is Layman's Guide to Berserker. As a preface, this guide is meant for your general War with Worlder, and as such will contain choices that probably will make sense in more organized play. We'll talk about each build, common kill combos you can do to generate downs, and some tips and tricks to improve play. Starting off with the more popular Berserker builds, hailing all the way from the line of China, we have Longbow Berserker. LB Berserker can typically be played in two variants, but for this guide, we'll be taking Hammer as well as the Arms trait line. For Discipline, we'll take a standard mid-mid-bottom, giving us damage and the ability to escape from immobilize. For our second trait line, we'll take Arms, which may be a weird pick compared to the damage Strength gives you, especially since we take the Middle Grandmaster, which may be odd since it's a Conde trait. The GM trait Furious allows us to refill our Adrenaline on every Scorched Earth F1 without having to take budget from somewhere else, such as running Adrenaline stats, and the Vault helps our spike a little, but it's definitely a damage loss compared to Strength. Finally, in Berserker, we take top, giving us damage, just on engage, and a longer Zerk duration. On to something that will be another point of contention, our utilities. We take Signet of Fury, no question, as being able to cap out our Zerk form with ease gives us consistent Zerks whenever we want. However, you do have to be in combat or your Berserker swap may fail to fire. For our second utility, we take Signet of Might, enabling our kill combo, which we'll talk about later. For our third utility, we take Banner of Tactics for party support, but Balance Stats is an alternative if you find yourself being caught out / stunned often. For our heal, we take Blood Reckoning to refresh our Primal Burst and Battle Standard for rezzing allies or finishing downs. For gear, we go to a Zerker Marauder mix, and you can take away Zerk as you please for more Marauder if you find yourself struggling to survive. For sigils, we take Hydromancy Force on Longbow and Bloodlust Force on our Hammer, and I highly recommend ascended weapons as their priority if you don't already have them, as they contribute a fair amount of damage compared to other ascended pieces. Let's talk about our engage now. To get into combat, you can either auto attack with LB, or use LB4 if we won't get reflected. Try and look out for random NPCs or roamers too. As long as you won't fall behind your tag, it's important to get into combat and not whiff your Berserker. For LB, it's important to sync burst on your commander's call, whether he's calling for Wells or Zerks forward, otherwise you fall into the trap of padding damage, and it'll look really good on the DPS meter, but also great on the down contribution meter. So our commander calls for Spike, Signet of Fury, F1 to enter Berserk, Scorched Earth, Blood Reckoning, Scorched Earth, Signet of Might while casting LB3 Arcing Arrow, and right before it lands we swap to Hammer and Hammer 3, and Hammer F1 if it won't break your positioning. You may lose it on the Scorched Earth spam by swapping to Hammer. Just treat your Scorched Earth as, okay, the enemy now has 20% less max HP, with the real meat coming from your Arcing Arrow Hammer 3 combo to generate downs. From here, you simply camp Longbow, swapping to Hammer whenever a melee opportunity arrives, as Hammer 3 into Hammer F1 is still a potent damage spike. You can squeeze in one more Signet of Might on the tail end and still have it up for your next burst chain if you want to get another Arcing Arrow combo out. As a tip, while meleeing, you can drop Arcing Arrow on your feet to cheap projectile block and do a nice spike of damage while moving through groups if you don't have to dodge roll. Also, you can occasionally get the damage against disabled foes modifier on Hammer 2 if you cast it right after your Hammer F1 for a nice spike on the target. Remember, you want your damage to be useful and leading to downs, so don't tunnel too hard on spamming Scorched Earth if the situation doesn't call for it, especially in open field where the AoE loses value due to the extra maneuverability afforded from just having more space. It is, however, still excellent down cleave. Now, onto the good stuff, Great Sword Hammer Berserker. This build shines in smaller scale engagements and open field, places where you can melee often and the value of Scorched Earth goes down due to terrain. This build has a lot more kill pressure than the standard LB build. It is decently tanky if you position properly, and it's just really fucking fun. For our traits, we will once again be taking mid-mid-bottom and discipline for damage and movement. In strength, we deviate a little and take bot-top rather than bot-mid-top, trading might generation and power for a larger health pool and a decent amount of ferocity. Finally, in Berserker, we have probably the straightest decision of them all, taking bot-top-top rather than the traditional top-top-top. I think they're going to get a little field crafty here, but in my experience in playing melee Berserker, a lot of the time you get forced out of melee for an extended period of time, which is fine on Longbow because you have Scorched Earth to just blast out every 2 seconds, but on double melee with the extended Zerk duration, you'll find yourself missing out on popping Zerker in re-engages due to the extended duration. Duration may be fine if your commander can play around extended melee uptime, but I prefer the bottom trait, and the guarantee you won't get absolutely blown up on your initial hammer spike is nice as well. For our utilities, once again take Signet of Fury and Signet of Might, the third slot being either Sundering Leap or a Banner of Tactics, for a damage increase or party support respectively. Our heal is once again Blood Reckoning, with Battle Standard rounding out our elite slot. For gear, we take a Berserker/Marauder mix, adding either Berserkers or Marauders to taste, depending on how tanky you want to be. For our sigils, we take Vision and Hydromancy on our Greysword. Hydromancy is really important to ensure the combo works properly, while we take Severance and Bloodlust on our hammer. Now, onto our engage. Getting into combat on double melee is a little bit of a more involved affair. You can cheat by dipping into red circles or standing off tag a bit, but don't put the cart before the horse and die trying to get into combat. Worst case scenario, you can send a quick hammer 3 right before engage to get into combat. So long as you're cognizant of where your commander is going, and receive stab before you jump towards the enemy, you can leap in on a range spike. Just once again be very careful with your positioning, and I don't recommend it if you're not confident in your ability to escape. All that aside, for our engage, assuming we're in combat, we'll be starting in hammer, opening with Signet of Fury and Might, entering Berserk form, leaping forward with F1 onto the side of their stack, not into their center, hammer 3 if available, weapon swap into Greysword, but it's imperative that you're close enough to get Hydro procs on multiple people to get enough adrenaline, so dip in a little bit if you have to for a second. F1, heal, F1, and from there you can build adrenaline for a third Greysword burst, swap hammer and burst, and end with a final Greysword burst totaling for 6 bursts in our Zerk window. 7 is possible with the lack and Sundering Leap if you're fast, you just add a second hammer burst after you swap from Greysword the first time. Don't greed damage if it will lead to your death. If you dip out and re-engage later, do it. And try not to send Banner on down unless you're waiting for a burst. If you're low going into a re-engage, don't forget entering Berserk gives 2 seconds of damage immunity. If you're fast, you can burst heal burst before the immunity runs out and top yourself. Well, that's about it for this guide. I hope to see more Berserkers out and about until ArenaNet inevitably nerfs it because the class is fucking busted as hell. I'll have links to the build down below, and as always, stay beautiful.